The Silent Defiance. The Zethian Dominion had ruled the stars for over 12 centuries, their vast fleets capable of reducing entire planets to molten slag in hours. Their technology was the pinnacle of galactic achievement: gravitational manipulation engines, energy shields that could withstand supernovas, and weapons that distorted the very fabric of space-time. They didn't conquer. They simply arrived and absorbed, like a cosmic inevitability. Earth's first contact with the Dominion occurred on a Tuesday. No spectacular lights in the sky, no dramatic landing on the White House lawn. Just a small delegation of blue-skinned humanoids who materialized inside the United Nations General Assembly and announced that humanity was now part of their empire. "Your species shows promise," the Zethian ambassador said, his seven-fingered hand gesturing dismissively at the assembled world leaders. "But you are centuries behind where you should be. Accept our guidance, and perhaps in a millennia, you might earn citizenship." The terms were simple yet crushing. Earth would provide resources and labor. In exchange, the Dominion would not eradicate humanity. They called it generous. Earth's leaders called it survival. For 8 years, humanity bent the knee. Mining operations stripped the lunar surface. Rare earth elements flowed off-world in staggering quantities, and the Zethians, true to their word, introduced small technological gifts: medical advances, improved agriculture, cleaner energy, just enough to keep humans compliant, never enough to threaten their dominance. Commander Elena Rice watched it all from her office at what remained of NASA's Johnson Space Center, now repurposed as a coordination facility for Zethian technology transfers. At 43, Elena had once been on track to command the first manned mission to Mars. Now she supervised the dismantling of human space programs. "They don't even bother to guard their technology properly," she told her deputy, Dr. Marcus Chen, as they examined the internal schematics of a Zethian shuttle they'd been permitted to study. "They think we're too primitive to understand it." Marcus nodded, pushing his glasses up his nose. "They've conquered so many species, they've forgotten what it means to be challenged." Elena's eyes narrowed. "That's their mistake." In a forgotten bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, where Cold War paranoia had once built a fortress meant to survive nuclear apocalypse, Project Chimera took shape. Elena had recruited the best minds still loyal to humanity rather than Zethian paychecks: physicists, engineers, hackers, and military strategists who remembered what it meant to be free. "They expect us to follow their technological path," Elena explained during the project's inaugural briefing. "They think we'll try to copy their shield technology, their FTL drives. We won't. We're going to build something they've never seen before." For 3 years, they worked in absolute secrecy. The Zethians monitored Earth's major manufacturing centers and orbital facilities, but they paid little attention to the abandoned military installations of what they considered a primitive species. Their arrogance created blind spots, gaps in surveillance that humans exploited ruthlessly. Chimera took shape, not as a massive warship, but as something smaller, more elegant. Where Zethian vessels were enormous constructs of exotic alloys and energy fields, Chimera was compact, built around an entirely different philosophy. They rely on predictive algorithms and centralized command structures. Dr. Aisha Nusser, their lead physicist, explained, "Their entire fleet operates like neurons in a single brain. Cut off the head, the body falls." The ship incorporated stolen Zethian tech, but reimagined through human innovation. Where Zethian shields blocked incoming attacks with brute force, Chimera's defensive system, dubbed Wraith, manipulated probability fields to ensure projectiles simply missed. Where Zethian ships used massive energy weapons, Chimera wielded silence and stealth. Most critically, where Zethian vessels depended on a quantum communication network to coordinate fleet movements with perfect precision, Chimera was designed to disrupt those signals. "They've never faced an opponent who thinks like we do," Elena said, running her hand along the ship's obsidian hull. "They've never faced humans." The final piece came from an unexpected source. Dr. Weizong, a quantum physicist who had seemingly collaborated with the Zethians, defected to the project, bringing the key breakthrough, the means to temporarily disrupt the quantum entanglement that Zethian ships use to communicate. They call it the harmony, Dr. Zhang explained. Break it, and their perfect coordination shatters. For a few precious minutes, each ship becomes isolated, forced to think for itself. 3 years, 4 months, and 17 days after Project Chimera began, the ship was ready. No grand ceremony marked its completion. Only Alina standing in the launch bay with her core team, their faces illuminated by the soft blue glow of the engines. If we succeed, we won't just save Earth, Alina told them. We'll inspire every subjugated world in the Dominion to rise. Chimera departed Earth in complete radio silence, its revolutionary propulsion system leaving no energy signature for Zethian sensors to detect. Its maiden voyage took it to the edges of the solar system, where a small Zethian patrol monitored the asteroid belt mining operations. The patrol consisted of 3 vessels, hardly worth noticing in the vast Dominion fleet, but they represented the perfect test case. Isolated, routine in their operations, and connected to the larger Harmony network. They don't even have their defensive systems at full capacity, Lieutenant James Kaminsky, Chimera's tactical officer, reported. They're running automated scans on a fixed pattern. Elena nodded. Perfect. Prepare the Harmony disruptor. Target the lead vessel's communication array. Chimera's systems hummed as it gathered energy for its first offensive action. The ship slipped between the patrol vessels, its wraith system bending light and probability around it. No alarms sounded on the Zethian ships. They continued their programmed patrol route, oblivious to the predator in their midst. Disruptor charge, Dr. Zhang announced, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. Field will expand to encompass all 3 vessels. Elena took a deep breath. This moment would determine whether 3 years of secret work would spark a revolution or end in quick annihilation. Execute, she ordered. The disruptor activated, not with a dramatic flash or explosion, but with an eerie silence. One moment, the Zethian vessels moved in perfect synchronization. The next, they froze, their navigation systems suddenly severed from the guiding intelligence of the Harmony. Emergency lights flashed across the alien hulls as backup systems engaged. This was the critical moment, the brief window of confusion before the Zethian crews could compensate. All vessels experiencing quantum desync, Kaminsky reported, a grim smile on his face. Their automated defense systems are cycling through reboots. Wraith system maintaining full coverage, Lieutenant Sofia Rodriguez added from the helm. They still don't see us. Elena leaned forward. Bring us alongside the command vessel. Deploy the boarding team. Chimera's hull opened like a predatory flower, and a team of 12 humans in advanced combat suits launched toward the disoriented Zethian ship. This wasn't a suicide mission. It was a smash-and-grab operation designed to obtain the one thing Chimera still needed: access codes to the Dominion's central military network. The boarding team, led by Major Darius Jackson, encountered minimal resistance. The Zethian crew, cut off from the Harmony that guided their every action, responded sluggishly, their natural decision-making abilities atrophied by centuries of dependence on their networked intelligence. Command deck secured, Jackson reported 15 minutes later. We have the ship's captain and their command codes. Downloading their navigation data now. On Chimera's bridge, Alina allowed herself a small smile. Begin withdrawal. Let's be gone before they can report what happened. As the boarding team returned with their Zethian prisoners, the alien patrol ships finally coordinated a response. Energy weapons charged, targeting systems locked onto Chimera's last known position. But the human vessel was already elsewhere, its wraith system ensuring that every shot went wide. They're attempting to re-establish connection to the Harmony, Zhang reported. Estimated time to success: 3 minutes. More than enough, Elena replied. Get us out of here, Lieutenant Rodriguez. Random vector, full speed. Chimera vanished into the void, leaving the confused Zethian patrol to piece together what had happened. By the time they reported the incident to their command structure, the human vessel was beyond detection range, carrying with it the seeds of the Dominion's potential downfall. Back in the secure bunker beneath the Rockies, Alina presented their captured prize to the project's leadership team, a Zethian officer and access codes that would give them unprecedented insight into Dominion operations. "They didn't even consider us a threat," she said, looking at the alien prisoner. "That's why we won today, and that's why we'll win tomorrow. The Dominion has forgotten what it means to fight for survival. We haven't." The Zethian captain, his blue skin pale from the shock of capture, stared at Alina with compound eyes that couldn't hide his confusion. "You cannot stand against the Dominion," he stated, his translator converting the musical Zethian language into flat English. "We have conquered 1,000 species more advanced than yours." Alina smiled. "But you've never conquered humans before. And there's something you should know about us. We don't like being told what we can't do." News of the encounter spread through encrypted channels to resistance cells across Earth. For the first time in 8 years, humanity had struck back against their oppressors. Chimera wasn't just a ship, it had become hope incarnate. And in the darkness between stars, other subjugated species began to hear whispers of what humanity had accomplished. The first crack had appeared in the Dominion's perfect facade. It would not be the last. The impossible victory. The Zethian High Command convened an emergency session within their vast citadel orbiting the blue giant Externar. 9 supreme commanders, each responsible for an entire sector of Dominion space, gathered around a holographic display showing the patrol incident. "Impossible," declared Supreme Commander Zarvex, his facial tentacles rippling with indignation. "These primitives cannot have developed technology capable of disrupting the harmony." "And yet," responded Supreme Commander Thelix, the eldest of the 9, "the evidence suggests they have. 3 ships disabled, 1 officer captured, and the attacking vessel vanished without a trace." The Dominion's response was swift and predictable. They doubled the military presence in Earth's system, implemented stricter monitoring protocols, and demanded Earth's leaders provide information about the rogue vessel. "We know nothing of this attack," Earth's appointed representative, Secretary General Torres, insisted during a tense meeting with the Zethian ambassador. "Perhaps another of your subjects has decided to resist." The ambassador's compound eyes narrowed. "Do not test our patience, human. Your species' continued existence is a privilege we can revoke." Torres maintained the facade of cooperation, even as Zethian enforcers began conducting raids on Earth's remaining military installations. What the Dominion failed to understand was that humanity's resistance wasn't centralized. It was cellular, distributed, with Project Chimera operating completely outside official channels. Meanwhile, Alina's team worked feverishly to exploit their new advantage. The captured command codes gave them temporary access to portions of the Dominion's military network, an opportunity they knew wouldn't last. "They'll realize the breach soon," Dr. Zhang warned as they sifted through terabytes of Zethian tactical data. "We need to focus on critical vulnerabilities." What they discovered exceeded their wildest hopes. The Dominion's apparent invincibility relied on the Harmony, a vast, quantum-linked communication system that allowed instantaneous coordination across thousands of light years. This technological marvel was also their greatest weakness. The entire network flows through 7 primary relay stations, Marcus explained, highlighting points on a galactic map. Each station handles a sector of Dominion space. If one goes down, that entire sector loses cohesion. Alina studied the nearest relay, a massive installation orbiting a neutron star at the edge of human-controlled space. Arcturus Gate, she read from the translated data. "It controls all Dominion forces in our sector." The plan that formed was audacious to the point of insanity. With their Harmony disruptor proven effective at short range, they would now attempt something far more ambitious, a strike at Arcturus Gate itself, aiming to disable an entire sector of the Dominion fleet. But Chimera couldn't do it alone. "We need more ships," Elena told the Resistance leadership. At least 5 vessels with our disruptor technology to have any chance of success. For 6 months, as Zethian oppression intensified on Earth, hidden shipyards worked around the clock. Chimera's siblings took shape. Phoenix, Hydra, Cerberus, and Pegasus, each incorporating refinements based on their first successful engagement. The captured Zethian officer, gradually coming to respect his captor's determination, provided crucial insights into Dominion tactical responses. "Your advantage is thinking as individuals," he told Elena during one debriefing session. "My people have relied on the harmony for so long, many commanders have forgotten how to make decisions alone." The human fleet, if 5 ships could be called such, departed Earth under complete communications blackout. They traveled separately, using different routes, converging on a rendezvous point beyond Pluto's orbit. Each carried a vital component of the mission. None could succeed alone. As they prepared for the Arcturus operation, something unexpected occurred. A small vessel of unfamiliar design approached the rendezvous point, broadcasting on frequencies only the Resistance used. "We are Krell," the transmission stated in halting English. "We hear humans fight Sethians. We fight too." The Krell, insectoid beings from a mineral-rich world conquered centuries ago, had maintained their own resistance movement for generations. Their arrival marked a pivotal moment. Humanity was no longer fighting alone. "The Dominion conquered us through division," the Krell commander, Shiztak, explained during their first face-to-face meeting aboard Chimera. "They ensure no subject species trusts another. But your attack has inspired many. Others will join if you succeed at Arcturus." Elena studied the alien warrior, whose exoskeleton bore the ceremonial scars of countless battles. "And if we fail, then we die free," Chiztak replied simply. The combined fleet, 5 human vessels, and 3 Krell attack ships, departed for Arcturus Gate with no illusions about the odds they faced. The relay station was guarded by a permanent defensive force of 30 Zethian warships, with hundreds more within rapid response range. Their approach relied on complete stealth. The Krell ships, using technology developed over centuries of resistance, generated a massive radiation burst from a nearby stellar remnant, temporarily blinding Zethian sensors. In that brief window, the human vessels closed to attack range. Harmony disruptors at full capacity, Zhang reported as Chimera led the formation. "Field will encompass the relay station and all ships within 10,000 kilometers." Elena surveyed the tactical display, where the massive Arcturus Gate dominated the center, a construct the size of Earth's moon, surrounded by Zethian vessels arranged in perfect defensive formations. "All ships, execute Phase 1, she ordered. Simultaneously, all 5 human vessels activated their disruptors at maximum power. The effect was instantaneous and catastrophic. Across the entire Arcturus sector, thousands of Zethian ships suddenly lost their connection to the Harmony. Alert signals cascaded through the Dominion network as an entire sector of their empire went silent. At the relay station itself, confusion reigned. Zethian crews, trained to function as extensions of the collective intelligence, found themselves forced to make independent decisions. Some ships maintained position. Others initiated pre-programmed defensive patterns that now conflicted with their neighbors' choices. Within minutes, the perfect formation had dissolved into chaos. "Phase 2, Elena commanded. "All vessels, begin targeted strikes." This was where humanity's approach differed fundamentally from the Dominion's. Instead of engaging in direct combat, where they would still be outmatched, each human ship had been assigned specific high-value targets: power relays, communication nodes, and sensor arrays. The Krell forces provided crucial support, their smaller vessels drawing Zethian fire while the human ships conducted their precision strikes. The battle unfolded not as a traditional slugging match between fleets, but as a strategic disruption of key systems. Arcturus Gate primary control hub targeted, Major Jackson reported from Hydra. "Firing main sequence now." A concentrated beam from Hydra struck the station's command center, severing its connection to the surrounding defensive grid. Phoenix and Pegasus simultaneously disabled the primary power distribution nodes, while Cerberus neutralized the station's ability to send distress signals through alternate channels. Chimera, meanwhile, approached the core of the station, the quantum entanglement chamber that linked this relay to the other 6 across Dominion space. "Boarding team ready," Jackson reported, now back aboard the flagship for this critical mission. "We'll have one shot at this." Elena nodded. "Make it count, Major." The team deployed, fighting their way through the station's interior against increasingly desperate Zethian resistance. The aliens were learning, adapting to fighting as individuals, but too slowly to counter the human assault. Jackson's team reached the entanglement chamber with 3 minutes of disruptor field remaining. Dr. Zhang, accompanying the strike team, immediately began reconfiguring the system. "We're not just going to disable it," he explained as his fingers flew across alien interfaces. "We're going to convert it to a cascading quantum desync transmitter." In simple terms, they would turn the Dominion's own network against itself, sending a signal that would temporarily disable not just this relay, but create interference throughout the entire Harmony system. As the disruption field began to weaken, Zethian ships gradually re-established coordination. Several broke through the defensive screen, targeting Cerberus with concentrated fire. Cerberus taking critical damage. Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, "Their engines are failing." Elena made the difficult call. "Phoenix, assist Cerberus. All other vessels maintain position until the boarding team completes their mission." For agonizing minutes, the human fleet absorbed punishment they couldn't possibly withstand for long. 2 Krell vessels were destroyed, their crews sacrificing themselves to protect the mission. Phoenix suffered catastrophic damage while evacuating Cerberus's crew. Then, just as the disruptor field collapsed entirely, Jackson's voice came through the static. "Modifications complete. Initiating cascade. Now." A blinding pulse of energy erupted from Arcturus Gate, traveling faster than light through the quantum-entangled network. Across thousands of light years, Zethian vessels and installations experienced simultaneous disruption as the Harmony network collapsed. "All vessels, immediate withdrawal," Elena ordered. "Emergency jump coordinates." The surviving ships, Chimera, Hydra, Pegasus, and 1 Krell vessel, activated their engines, breaking away from the battle as confusion spread through the recovering Zethian fleet. Behind them, Arcturus Gate's systems went into complete meltdown, the sabotaged entanglement chamber creating a feedback loop that would take months to repair. As they regrouped at their fallback position, the magnitude of what they'd accomplished began to sink in. An entire sector of the Dominion, thousands of worlds, including Earth, was now effectively isolated from central control. More importantly, the myth of Zethian invincibility had been shattered beyond repair. In the days that followed, reports filtered in through covered channels. Throughout the affected sector, subjugated species were rising up, exploiting the Dominion's temporary vulnerability. The Krell had launched simultaneous strikes against Zethian outposts on 3 of their colony worlds. The aquatic Melosians had sabotaged underwater mining operations critical to Dominion shipbuilding. Even the normally passive Voth had destroyed the Zethian administrative centers on their homeworld. One by one, representatives of these resistance movements established contact with humanity. What had begun as a desperate act of defiance was transforming into a coordinated rebellion spanning dozens of star systems. 3 weeks after the Arcturus operation, Elena stood before a holographic assembly of alien resistance leaders, the first meeting of what would soon be called the Liberation Alliance. "The Dominion conquered us individually," she told them, "but they will face us united. They thought technological superiority made them invincible. We've proven that innovation, courage, and the will to be free are more powerful than any weapon they possess." Shiztak, now representing the unified Krull resistance, raised a clawed appendage. "The humans have shown us what we forgot. that the Dominion can be fought, can be defeated. The Zethians, predictably, responded with brutal force. But their efforts were hampered by the continuing destruction of their command network. Without the harmony to coordinate their actions, they faced something entirely unfamiliar: a war on multiple fronts against enemies who didn't follow predictable patterns. 6 months after the Battle of Arcturus Gate, a Zethian diplomatic vessel approached Earth under a flag of truce. For the first time in their 1,200-year history of expansion, the Dominion offered negotiations rather than demands. Elena, now Admiral Rise of the Alliance Fleet, sat across from the Zethian High Emissary in what had once been the United Nations Security Council chamber. "Your species has caused the Dominion considerable inconvenience," the emissary stated, his translator struggling to convey concepts alien to Zethian culture. "We are prepared to offer more favorable terms of integration." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "I'm afraid you misunderstand the situation. We're not interested in better terms of surrender. The Alliance worlds demand recognition as sovereign entities, free from Dominion control." "Impossible," the emissary began, then paused, his compound eyes studying Elena with new understanding. "You have shown us that the impossible is negotiable. The treaty that eventually emerged wasn't a complete Dominion withdrawal. They remained too powerful for that, but it established autonomous regions where former subject species would govern themselves, freed from direct Zethian oversight." As Elena watched the formal signing ceremony, broadcast across 1,000 worlds that had known only subjugation for centuries, she reflected on how completely the Dominion had misjudged humanity. They thought technology determined destiny, she told Marcus as celebrations erupted around them. They never understood that liberation begins not with better weapons, but with the refusal to accept oppression as inevitable. Marcus nodded, looking at the star-filled sky visible through the chamber's transparent dome. "What do you think happens next?" Elena considered the question, watching as humans mingled with their alien allies, former enemies becoming partners in rebuilding. "We remind the galaxy of something it forgot long ago," she said finally. "That the stars belong to those with the courage to reach for them, not those with the power to take them." In the shipyards orbiting Mars, a new generation of vessels was taking shape, not weapons of war, but ships of exploration, designed with the combined knowledge of a dozen species. Humanity had found its place among the stars not by conquering, but by inspiring, by showing the galaxy that even the mightiest empire could be challenged by those with the will to be free. And on the bridge of Chimera, now a living museum of the rebellion, the captured Zethian officer, who had chosen to remain with humans rather than return to his people, stood beside a group of awestruck children from Earth and 5 other worlds. "The Dominion ruled for 12 centuries, he told them, because no one believed they could be defeated. Then humans showed the galaxy something more powerful than any technology." "What was that?" asked a young Krell, her exoskeleton still soft with youth. The Zethian's facial tentacles formed the equivalent of a smile. "Hope."